Maybe let's get some tissues or napkins. Thank you. Nach, Shmuel, Herzig, Begadol, B'toiv. That Shmuel was growing up. Okay, he's growing up in Shiloh, and he's Toiv. He's Toiv. Who else remembers being called Toiv? Moshe Rabbeinu, right? But Tereu ki Toivu, right? So I made up a list of things that we find. Do you have Yirmiyah over here? Say Yirmiyah. Listen to this pasuk in Yirmiyah. Yirmiyah is admonishing the Eden in the end of the Bayis Sheni. They should do tshuva and everything. And he warning them that it's going to be a churban over here. The other Nevi'im were saying that, nah, it's going to be okay, don't worry about it. And he was saying, no, there's going to be a churban over here. The churban Beis HaMikdash. And listen to this pasuk. Vayomer Hashem Eli, that the Yirmiyah is saying that a bunch of them told him, Im Yamoy Moshe u'Shmuel L'fanai Ein Nafshi Elam Hazeh. Okay, what he said in the Nevi'im is not interesting, but it's interesting. Moshe and Shmuel. Okay, now where else do we have this? We say davening, right? Moshe v'ayin b'chayanav u'Shmuel k'ayr Shemay. There seems to be sort of like a connection between Moshe and Shmuel. Here we have also they're Toiv, right? They're both called Toiv, right? I made a list. This morning I was sitting around trying to think of things. Listen to this. Can anybody think of other things that Shmuel and Moshe are similar?
They gave Musa the pie, so.
Okay.
They went away from their mother.
Excellent. Okay, but very, very good. They both they were nursed by their mothers, by their real mothers, and then they were brought up somewhere else. Right? That's the thing they both have. Let me give you some more things that I found. We have a detailed description of their birth and their death, right? Both of them had two. You'll learn later. They had two sons, but their sons did not succeed them. They were not so the same madrega like they were.
They're both Levim.
And they're both Levium. Excellent, right? They're both Levium, right? There's a few more things here.
Shmuel's called Hanavi, right? With the like when Shaul went to Shmuel was done Navi, like the hey deal.
He was the leader also. They were both leaders. They were both Moshech. Shmuel poured the oil on the head of Shaul and made him was Moshechim, and Aaron was Meshachtas Aaron Bezbanav. They both fought Amalek. Okay, there's some more things over here that we're going to come to them later, but just things that I thought of. It's interesting that these two great leaders have a lot in common. So now comes a totally different thing. He gives him. Eli gives Musa to his children, right? He told them, "What are you doing here? It's not nice what you're doing." Now, by Yavai Ish Alekim El Eli, some Ish Alekim. What's an Ish Alekim? An Ish Alekim is usually who's but Philul Moshe Ish Alekim, but it's definitely not Shmuel in this case. So the Chazal say that it's Elkanah, but even that it doesn't say clearly in the pasuk who this Ish Alekim was. It was some sort of a navi. Eli Vayomer Elav Koyam Hashem Hanikla Niklaisi the base of Vicha, B'Yosim, B'Mitzrayim, the base Paroi, didn't, this doesn't mean, it's not a question mark, it says, wasn't I Megala to your house of your fathers when you were in Mitzrayim, in the house of Paroi? The house of Paroi is Mitzrayim. Ubochar Oisai Mikol Shiftei Yisrael Li L'chaim, and I chose him, your father. Who's your father over here? Who he came out of? I guess Amram, or the children of Amram. Actually, this is Aharon, because he's talking. This is not Shmuel. He's talking to Eli, and Eli was a Kohen. Eli came out of Aharon, right?
Yeah, Shmuel's Levi.
What? Yeah, Shmuel was a Levi. So, but this Ishalahim is talking to Eli. He said, I chose you to be to be the Kohen. Right now, I'm going to stop for just 1 second because it's a very interesting thing. Look at these words. I appeared to your father's house, the house of Aharon, while they were still in Mitzrayim. It says, with the Eibishter, when he came to Moshe, there's a whole Hagdama. He said the sneh and everything, and he didn't know who he was, the ganze Maisa. But when it says, "Vayom Hashem al Aharon, lech lechem Moshe," go to Moshe. There's no, because he's come lechem midbar, hini yosel krasecha. There's no Hagdama, nothing. Just talks to him regular. If I say him this, Aharon was a Navi Nach before. In Mitzrayim, the Rebbe Shalom is still talking right to Aharon. Aharon was a Navi, Nach Mitzrayim, from this pasuk. We wouldn't know this otherwise. Also, we had this week, but they say Miriam Hanaviyah, right? This was a family of the Viyam, of the Kohanim family. The only exception was Moshe, because Moshe did not grow up in this family. Moshe grew up in the house of Paroi. So there was a whole Maisa with the sneh and with Aaron, but.
I said Moshe is not B'chal base Av. Moshe is B'chal the base Av.
The base Av over here is Aharon. Base of in the Yomino base Aharon to Yom Chasta.
But a base of Vicha is Moshe B'chal base of Vicha.
No. I mean because as a brother, as an uncle, could be. No, but it's called Isha B'nai Yisrael. The Eibishter gives the Isha B'nai Yisrael to who? To Aharon, not to Moshe. Moshe, except maybe by the Miluim, but otherwise no. Now, Lama Tivatu Bezivchi over Minchasi. What are you kicking? Taking light in the Zevach and the Mincha that Asher Tzivisi Ma'in. That I said this word Ma'in appears a few times, and it seems to you have to the lashon over here is a very difficult lashon. The whole Sefer Shmuel, the lashonis seem to be zigzagging, going back and forth. You find a lot of times the concept of sirsoi hakosov, that the pasuk takes something that's later on in the pasuk and puts it in the beginning of the pasuk, and we have to figure out what he's trying to say over here. And this is some of the things he's saying. Lama tivatu b'zivchi that I gave a command that it should be in my house. Again, this is another name for the Mishnah Shiloh, right? A moin. Hashem moin atol Yisrael b'dor v'dor. Hamoin hazeh, it says in the Gemara. V'atechabed es bonecha mimeni. B'ladriachem and your sons are making themselves more covered than they give me. The Rebbe Shalom is saying, Lavriachem mireishis kol minchas Yisrael. Lavriachem is an interesting word. The shorish of Aryeh is bari. Bari, we tend to think it means to be healthy, right? There's a story in Parshas Shoftim, in the Sefer Shoftim, of Ehud ben Gera. He was a shofet, and he snuck in over to Bnei Moav, and he killed Eglon Melech Moav. He stabbed him, and it says over there, Eglon Melech Moav, Bari Moed. He was very fat. Notice the word Bari means fat. In Tanakh, not in Chazal, but in Tanakh it means to mean fat, overweight, obese. And it says that his knife stuck in and went all the way in, and he couldn't. There was so much. He was so fat. So I think that what he's saying is, Labriachem, your sons are becoming fat. Mereshis called Minchas Yisrael. They take whatever the Yidden bring in korbanos. Then we were talking about how he goes to every single person. Yisrael. Anybody came with a korban, he went and he banged on the pot, and he said, "Give me this, give me that." They were eating meat like anything. They were overdosing on meat. you don't get skinning from that, right?
It seems like he was upset that he was giving him that he was giving him Musa, no?
What? Who was upset? Yeah, he's right. Eli, that's right. This is something that's very strange. First, I was going to talk about. It's a very interesting thing. First, Eli is giving the Musar. He's telling him it's not a nice thing what you're doing. And now, after he gives the Musar, this Ish Elikim comes and has kindness to Eli still. He says he didn't give me enough Musar. I think that's what he's saying. So he says, La Briachem Mereishis Kol Minchas. So what's Mereishis? From the beginning. In other words, they take a piece of the meat even before the chalev is going on the mizbeach. So and that's you're not supposed to do. Mereishis Kol Yisrael La'ami, for my nation. Notice the word La'ami should have been before in the pasuk. This is like a jumble of words, but we understand what he's trying to say. Lachain, Ni'um Hashem Elikei Yisrael, Omer Amarti, I said, it's Beischa Beischa Bicha Yishalchu Lefanai Adolim. I thought that your house, the house of Eli, which is actually the house of Isamar, like we said the other day. This is not Elazar, this is Isamar. Eli comes out of Isamar. It was originally the Kahuna Gedolah went to the Bnei Elazar, and by the story of Pelegish Begiva, there was they felt that they should have gone around to the Kol Yisrael and give them Musar and try to bring them up. They were just busy with their own Mishkan and Avodah, and because of that, as an Oynish, it was taken away from the Bnei Elazar, it was given to Bnei Samar, and Eli was the Bnei Samar. So he said, now the Rebbe is saying, I'm disappointed. I thought that I would give you the oil, and from now on you would have it together. Chalilali, I can't do this now. Those that give cover to the Rebbeinu Shalom in the Mishkan, those are supposed to deserve cover, and those that are mevazeh, they're taking it very lightly. Hine yomim boim. So now comes the Nevi'us. Hine yomim boim. The days are coming. Vikodati esrecha. I'm going to cut off or chop off your arm and the arm. Zari beisabicha. Miyois zokin beisecha. There's not going to be any zikanim anymore in your house. They're going to die young. Vibarta. Tsar ma'oin b'choil ansheitav et Yisrael. Again, it's a very difficult passage to try to translate. But Tsar, he says you're going to look. You're going to when it's going to go good for the Yidden, when it's going to be good for Yisrael, you, and he doesn't mean you, he means your whole household, are going to look with jealousy, like a tzara, like they have like by Tzarasa by Penina, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to have with jealousy ma'oin at the Beis Hamikdash. This is already in the Nevi'us at the time of Shlomo. It's going to be very good for Yisrael. It says Taka that Baruch Hashanasam Nuchal Am Yisrael, and Shlomo gave a whole speech about how good it's right now, all the good things that says in the Torah are happening to us right now. It was a very good time. But in those times, your household is going to look with jealousy. And v'lo yiyeh l'zoken b'veischa kol hayom. There's not going to be any zoken in your house and in all those times. Rashi brings down here. Asheitav as Yisrael kishay yibone beis olamim b'yimei shleimah v'tehei toivasam shel Yisrael shleimah k'mo shenem Hashem le'nofal dover echad mikol dvorei hatoiv Yehuda v'Yisrael rabim kichoylan shel sfas hayom v'yeshav Yisrael Yehuda v'Yisrael levetach ish tachas gafnei ish tachas teinosei kol yimei shleimah. So here comes the but now he switches over and says lo yeh zokin b'beischa kol hayomim. There's not going to be a zokin in your house all the years. Now, v'barta tzar mo'in means that the kona gedol. Now I want to say something interesting. This Nevi'us did not happen immediately. The children of Eli, the sons were killed later, but his grandchildren continued on with the kona gedolah. They continued on kona gedolah for close to about 80 or maybe 100 years even, until the time of Shlomo. At the time of Shlomo, there was a kohen whose name was Ebyasar, and this Ebyasar was not on Shlomo's side. There was a lot of politics going on. We're going to learn about it later between Shlomo and between the different children of David, who should be the king afterwards, Adoniyahu or Shalom. And this Evyasar was not on the side of Shlomo, and Shlomo, when he became got power and he built a Beis Hamikdash, he sidelined him. He said, "No more Evyasar. We're bringing in Tzadok." Tzadok was from the Bnei Pinchas, and it says so in Divrei Yom. They give his whole genealogy. They give the genealogy of Ezra Sofer, Shamsa, and Ben this, Ben that, etc., etc., and it goes all the way through Tzadok to Pinchas, and those times is going to be if you bar the tsar, your house, the house of Eli, is going to look with jealousy. Eli's not going to be around anymore. It's not going to be around anymore, but the Torah is timeless. You know, the Vias is the Vias. So it's 100 years from now. It's 100 years from now, but it's going to happen. The Ishlei Achres Lecha Me'im Mizbechi Lechales Es Einecha the Veladiv Es Nafshecha and again, this is a pasuk. I'm not going to take away a person from the Rebbeach. In other words, you can still be kohanim. It's not. Don't worry about it. You're not going to lose the kuna, but the kuna gadol, the leadership, you're going to lose. The ladiv eseinech, the doyev, it's lashon of doyev to make him said. V'chol mabes beischa yimusu anashim, and all your house are going to die as young men, not zkenim. V'zel choha'os, and I'm giving a simon. Ashyovoy el shnei banecha. It's going to come to Chafni of Pinchas. B'yoyim echad yimusu shnei. They're both going to die together. Notice here Pinchas is spelled with a yud. Remember in the beginning that doesn't? Over here it does. I'm going to make myself another kohen, and that's going to be tzaddik, right? He's going to go before my Mashiach. Now, what's Mashiach? Mashiach again. Already, this is a nevuah that is going to be a Melech HaMashiach. There was Shaul was the first one, and then was David, and that they're going to be that there's going to be this kahuna is going to be going in front of the king. Notice what's happening also is that the Kohanim were very. I don't like to use the word powerful. They weren't, but the Kohanim were leaders. They were very, 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 very respected by everyone, and it took until Shlomo to be able to establish a malchus that's so strong that he'll be able to have the power to take away the kuna from one to the other. It couldn't happen right away. You can't have this person like, say Trump becomes a president and right away he fires anybody that's against him and he tries to change everything. It doesn't work that way. You have to have the people behind you. And when Shlomo brought prosperity and brought kavod to Am Yisrael, he had the strength and he had the ability to be able to change Kohanim. Gedolim. He's describing what's going to be left over after Tzadok is going to become the Kohen Gadol. Whoever is left over in your house that comes out of the base Eli, he's going to come to another to the Kohanim that are really going to run the show there in the base of Mikdash. They're going to be machnia to them, like goyres kesev v'kika lachem, to get a little bit Nagoira. Today in modern Hebrew, Agora, right, is like a 1/100th of a shekel, but in the Torah it says Esrim Geira HaShakel, and Geira it's a small coin, small amount of silver. So you're going to ask him just for a little bit money and a little bit and the kikar lechem and the kikar. What's the kikar lechem? Kikar lechem is when the person bought menachas. You gave menachas to the kohen ate it, or lechem upon him, gave to the kohen, and they're gonna come, they're gonna beg for please share with me, please give me some. It's a bizayon, include me, gather me in to one of the kahunas, one of the Kohanim that are in the Shamish of the Beis Hamikdash, so that I could also eat some bread. And it doesn't mean stam bread you can eat anywhere, but it's talking about lechem that the Bnei Yisrael bring bring for karbanis to get the shtickle of bread.
They were becoming less than regular kahanim. They were going to be regular kahanim.
I mean, regular kahanim, but the bnei tzaddik are going to be the ones that are going to be essentially running everything. At the time of David, also they started the concept of mishmar sakuna, where they divided up, and this was even mentioned in the Torah, levav mimkorav ala avos, that there's a certain kind of deals made between who gets each week, and apparently that whoever is in control of the Kuna Gedoyla has a lot more power to bring in his people into the mishmaras.
This is to anyone. It's not just to Bnei Eli. This is going to happen to anyone, not just all the kahanim, not just.
No, it means Bnei Isamar essentially. The Bnei
Isamar, this is going back.
Bnei Isamar are going to be downgraded, and Bnei Lazar are going to be upgraded.
That's how it was separated.
It was separated to a certain degree. I don't know. Today they have the whole list. We know exactly all the mishmaros, Mesechtes Tainus, and in one of the kinnis of Tisha B'av, they mention every single one of the mishmaros, but it's not clear from which family it was. I mean, whether it was Elazar or Isamar, it's not clear. In those times they probably knew, but we don't know today. V'anar Shmuel Mishoras es Hashem lifnei Eli, and now he's going. And notice, remember, I've said in the beginning that Sefer Shmuel is a sefer of zigzags. Everything goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Right here you have. Listen to this. And this is happening over here. Eli gives Musa to them. The Ishol Ekim comes and criticizes Eli, even though it seems that he gave Musa before, but maybe he gave it after. It's not very clear. We don't know exactly what's going on. And now suddenly it's going back to Shmuel. We're going back to Shmuel. Now you see, before we're talking about Shmuel, he was toiv and everything. We went off on a tangent talking about not even tangent, we went totally on a digression talking about Ishol Ekim. And now we're going back to talk and mentioning. Now let's go back. Let's go back to talk about Shmuel. V'ana Shmuel Mishoras es Hashem lifnei Eli. With Devar Hashem now hits and totally different. Devar Hashem hoya yokar b'yamim. It was very yokar means rare, chashuv. In Aramaic it means difficult. Also, yokar b'yamahem ein chazayin nifratz. There's no chazayin means chazayin meim Hashem. There's no nevias. The Rebbe Shem doesn't talk to people that much. Later on, we find that he talks much more. You find that after Shmuel, you find not only that. There's the constant label finds something called Bnei HaNeviim. There are people that were training to become Neviim. There's everything, but in the time of this, when this is happening, by the time of Eli, there weren't many Nevi'im. So I maybe trying to emphasize that what this Ishol Ekim came and told Eli it was very, very unusual. It didn't usually happen. But I don't know why he should have said it before. Why he's saying it now, and then before that he's saying, "But now Shmuel." You see, what's going on over here? It's like we're going back and forth. Now here comes an interesting story. Listen to this. Vahi b'yom hahu. Ve'eli shoiche b'mkoimoi, ve'einav hechel keihois lo yuchal lirois. Eli is sleeping in his place, wherever that is, and somewhere apparently he stayed also in that area of the Mishnah Shilai. Ve'einav hechel keihois, and his eyes are starting to become shvach. Lo yuchal lirois. Right? We have this interesting also. Who else? We have lo yuchal lirois. We have Yaakov Avinu by Yitzchak. Right? Both of them became old and they had difficulty seeing.
Doesn't say it became old.
What?
Doesn't say it became old, right? Yeah.
You'll see later that he became old. He was a very old man then already. I'll come to it in a minute. B'ner Elikim Terem Yichbe. Now this is a very interesting part. What is a Ner Elikim Terem Yichbe? I'll come to it in a minute. Shmuel Shoichev Behechel Hashem Ashesham Aron Elikim. And Shmuel is saying that Eli is in one place and Shmuel is in another place. Okay, and he's saying over here, I want you to look at the Tamim. It's very interesting. You have Pashta Munazarka. All right, look at where there's snachtos in this pasuk. What? It shouldn't be there. If you want to say that Shmuel is laying in a heichal, it should say that Shmuel sheichev b'heichal Hashem. So it's clear over here that what's going on in this pasuk. It's saying v'ner elikim terem yichbe b'heichal Hashem asher shama elikim. That's supposed to be the pasuk. That's
Behechel Hashem is going on both things there in the first half of the pasuk. It's going on. Behechel Hashem is going on both Ner Elikim and Shmuel Sheichev. So it's not a continuation only of Shmuel Sheichev. It's a continuation
okay.
also
Now,
of Ner Elikim.
are you allowed to? En yeshiva bazora, and you can't. How can he sleep in the Heichal Hashem? It says that in the time of Yoda HaKoyen, this later on Malachim, there was a wicked woman called Asalia. She was a Marshas, and she killed the whole Zerah Hamluch. She was a queen. The only time the Jews had a queen was Asalia. She was the daughter of Achav, and she ruled over Yehuda, even though she gives the whole story how that happened. And she killed everybody in the Zerah Hamlucha. And Yoda HaKoyen was very scared that there's not going to be nothing left from the house of David. So he took Yoash, who was a little boy then, a little baby, who was a grandson of the only thing that was left. Everybody was destroyed, and he hid him. It says Bachadar Hamitois, Asher V'Hechel Hashem. He hid him in the bedroom. So they say, it says Chazal say, what's Chadar Hamitois? Chadar Hamitois is the Kodesh Kodashim, and on top of the Kodesh Kodashim there was an Aliyah. It was a thing, and that's where he was hiding. So they said there is maybe a possibility that is somewhere it's possible to sleep in the Heichal Hashem without being in the Heichal Hashem. I don't know. Now, there's another interesting thing over here. V'ner elikim terem yichbe. What is ner elikim?
The Targum says that Shachav be'ezras levoy.
Oh, Ezra's Levoy is not the Heichal. You had to say that because you can't say that somebody slept in the Heichal Hashem, and it's the same thing with the Nach over here. Terem yichbe Shmuel Sheichev. Period. Heichal Hashem and Hashem Elikim. So this is going back on the Ner Elikim. What is a Ner Elikim? Now, Ner Elikim could it be the menorah? He's describing a situation where it's like it's the beginning of the night. The fire is still going on the menorah, right? And but we know also.
It says that it was before Alois. It means that Terem Yichbe means before Alois.
Okay.
Was dead all night. Erev Biker. So Terem Yichbe means it's before the morning.
Mm-hmm. And the morning they shut it off. What do they do?
It says in the.
There's a whole discussion of what the
Erev Biker.
The Ner Maravi. What's the Ner Maravi? You know about Ner Maravi? Ner Maravi is never shut off. But there's a question: how do you clean it? So they switched it. It's a whole discussion. What is a Ner anyway? What's a Ner? Ner is not a candle. A Ner is a holder for oil. Right? There's a whole discussion also. Machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Nechemia. If the menorah, the cups that are on top were attached to a part of the menorah, or they were separate. There's an interesting, it's an Orach Chaim HaKodesh in Bahaloischa that says that if Ilu Hayisi Sham Hayisi Dan Lefneim, if I would be there when Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Nechemia happened at Machlokes, I would say my point of view that the neiros were separate and not part of the menorah. It's such a lashon and unbelievable that an Orach Chaim HaKodesh come out in our time would say, I wouldn't paskin like one of the Tanoim. It's different. You have to see this piece in Palois if you ever have a chance. It's very, very interesting. Anyway, I don't know how I got off in this whole discussion, but he's describing over here the Ner Elikim Ta'ang. There's still a Ner going on. Now listen to this because the next few psukim is very strange. Vayikra Hashem el Shmuel. He calls to Shmuel B'Yemer Hineni. We find that by Moshe also. Hineni, right? By Avram, we find Vayoratz el Eli. Vayomer Hineni. Ki karaseli. I'm here. I am. You called me. Vayomer like karasi. I didn't call you. Shuv Sheichev. Go back to sleep. Vayelech Yishkav. He didn't know anything, so he went back to sleep. Shmuel. Listen to this. Vayosef Hashem kroi oid Shmuel V'yokam Shmuel v'yelech Haleli. V'yomer Hidden. This is very interesting. The way the pasuk is marich so much of it. V'yomer Hidden Kikarosali. V'yomer Loi Karosi B'ni. Shuv Shchav. Go back to sleep. U'Shmuel Terem Yodas Hashem. What?
Who's Vayomer him?
V'yomer Hineni. Shmuel saying Hineni.
Vayomer like Krasi B'ni.
Huh?
Eli.
Hidden Kikarosali. You called me.
Oh, he went back to Eli.
Yeah, he went to Eli again. Yeah. V'yelech Haleli. V'yomer Hidden Kikarosali. V'yomer Loi Karosi B'ni. Shuv Shchav. Go back to sleep. Shmuel Terem Yodas Hashem. He didn't know Hashem. He didn't have any contact with the Eibishter. But Terem Yikola Elov Devar Hashem. He didn't. Devar Hashem never came to him. He didn't. By Yosef Hashem Kroi Shmuel Bashlishis. By Yokam by Yelech El Eli V'yomer Hineni Kikarosali. The third time. By Yoven Eli Ki Hashem Koyr Nahar. He understood this is not Pashat. 3 times he gets called, and 3 times the Eibishter is talking to him. It's interesting that Shmuel, when he heard the voice, he heard Eli's voice. It's there's a concept in the Gemara of a bas koil. You're hearing a voice from Himmel, right? And the Gemara says that in the end of Megillah, that if you want to know what a bas koil sounds like, koil gavra b'masa, koil itzah b'davra. It sounds like a woman, the moon's voice if you're not in the city, but if you're in a city, it sounds like a man's voice. But what is the man's voice that you hear? I guess it's a voice that you have some sort of familiarity to. It's not because the Eibishter doesn't need a voice. It's all in his mind. He talks to where he hears in his mind. So he's saying. So he now Eli understood Ki Hashem Koyr Lanar.
So it's interesting that Eli didn't understand it the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it says in the beginning, that it was Dvar Hashem was Yoker. That there was not a lot.
There's no Levius. I mean, it wasn't. Vayomer Eli Shmuel. I gave him advice. Lech Shchav. Vaya Mikra Elecha V'yamarta Daber Hashem Ki Shomea Avdecha. He said, "Speak Hashem because your evidence listening." Vayelech Shmuel v'yishkim. He went back. Vayova Hashem beis Yatzev, and Vayikra Kapam b'Pam Shmuel. Vayomer Shmuel Daber Ki Shomea Avdecha. Now it's interesting over here. The Mepharshim point this out. What did Eli tell him to say? Diber Hashem Ki Shomea Avdecha. Right. And what did he say? He said Daber. He did not say Hashem Ki Shomea Avdecha. Why? Because he was still scared he's going to say the Shem Shemayim Levatolo. He didn't want to say that. So he said, Daber Ki Shomea. That's what the Mepharshim say. But it's interesting over here, we find something is happening over here. There's 1, 2, 3, and the 4th time it works. 1, 2, 3, the 4th time it works. You don't find it in the Torah, but you find it in the Nevi'im. You find this concept. You find in the Haftarah, you have the Haftarah of Parshas Vayeshev. It says, "Al shloisha pishei amayim v'abor aloi mishivena, al shloisha pishei Yisrael v'abor aloi yishivena." 3 doesn't work, but the 4th works. You find it in Mishlei also. Shloisha eila niflu mimeni v'abor v'lo yadativ. 3 plus 1. 3 plus 1. 3 plus 1. It's a construct you find you find it over here also.
Interesting. He had to say daber.
Hmm?
He had to say daber.
Yes, yeah, he had to say daber. Yeah.
No, Hineni is not enough.
Hmm?
Hineni wasn't enough.
Hineni is not enough. It's interesting. And by Moshe it was enough. By Abraham it was enough. But over here, he had to say daber ki shomea. I'm listening. I hear what you have to say. And it's interesting. By Yova Hashem vayis yatsev. What's really vayis yatsev? Vayis yatsev means he stood. Kabayachol. The Eibishter stood. There's a concept of Shechina, where the Shechina takes on a space, a certain space. Because the Eibishter is Molech Havai, the K'vodos Kol Haaretz. This is the whole concept of what Shechina means. What does Shechina mean? Shechina means like a Mishkan. Shechanti b'nafsech b'nei Yisrael. Meaning there's more of the Rebbeinu Shalom in one place than there is in another place. Even though the Eibishter is Molech Havai, we say in Kedusha also, Kodesh, 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 Shem Svaros Molech Haaretz K'vodo, and second later we say Baruch Kavod Hashem Mim Koimoi. this place, because that's we say Machzor Shnosa Tzion. That's the concept of Shechina, and that's why it's Yatzev. Vayomer Hashem el Shmuel. Now the Rabbi start talking to Shmuel. Hini Elohechi oiseh davar b'Yisrael. I'm about to do something. Asher kol shoymoy titzleno shtei oznov. Whoever's going to hear this, his ears are going. Both ears are going to ring. It's interesting that we find exactly the same lashon in the end of Malachim, where the Navi comes and says that the Beis HaMikdash is about to be destroyed, and he said, "I'm going to tell you something." Exactly those words. So what is this word titzlena? Where do we have it? We have halalu b'tziltz leitrua. A tziltzel is a symbol. You go bang, the bang. In fact, there's a Rashi somewhere. Where's the Rashi again? I forgot already. He says that tziltzel, he says tinnitur blaz. Tinnitur is like, tinnitus is? Tinnitus when a person hears ringing in his ears the whole time. It's the same words. So it's Lenot Shtei Osnav. His are going to ring. Are going to like a gong, like a cymbal. Bayoim Hahu Okim El Eli Eisen Kol Ansher Dibarti El Beisoy Hochel B'Kalyan. That day I'm going to do to Eli everything that I said and I'm going to do it. It's interesting when the issue of Kim came, Eli doesn't answer him anything. So here, I guess he's sending Shmuel to tell him even again to take it more seriously. I'm going to judge his house forever. And that his children are take light or cursing. And he did not. Kiyah means to make weak, to make shvach. Keha means yod yala yod keha. That he didn't make things shvach. Loy kiyah b'hem. Now it seemed we had before that koha einov, that his eyes became weak. He didn't try to make them weak. But this is not true. What?
Was the point here to send a message over to Eli? Was that the point when Hashem came to Shmuel?
Clearly, he told Shmuel. I'm telling you something, but it's clear that he has to tell it over to Eli. So, in a minute you're going to see this. And v'lachein, and it says Chazal, wherever it says lachein is the lashon shvua. Nishbati lebeis Eli. I made the shvua to the house of Eli. Miskaper avoin beis Eli bezevach uvemincha ad olam. It's never going to have a kapara ever. Bezevach uvemincha. There's a Gemara famous Gemara in Masechet Rosh Hashanah that Aryeh and Rava. I've had brother over here. You have to hear this exact lashon. Here, Rab Shmuel bar Nachmani, Rab Yonason. Minayin, one second. Minayin legzar din sheyesh imoy shvua she'enoi nikra with the ayin shenemar lochein nishbati lebeis Eli in nischaper avoin beis Eli bezevach uvemincha. Rava bezevach uvemincha einem miskaper avon miskaper b'toyre. Aryeh Amar b'sevach uvemincha einem miskaper av miskaper b'toyre ubegemilas chasadim. Rava Aryeh mid the Beis Eli kosi. They both came from the Beis Eli. You hear this? The people ask kashas, how could it be according to that the Kohanim? It's not going to go into this right now. Rava the Osik b'toyre chaya arben shnin. He lived 40 years. He only lived 40 years of Rava. Could you imagine that? Aryeh the Osik b'toyre ubegemilas chasadim chaya shitin shnin. He lived 60 years. Toner Abana mishpoch achas hoysa b'Yerushalayim shayu meiseho meisen b'nei shmoina esrei shana. Everybody died when they were 18 years old. Bo voidius Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai amol hem shema mishpachas Eliatem tichsev bechol mar beischa yemusu anashim l'chu ve'isku b'toyre v'chiyu holchu v'asku b'toyre v'chayu v'yikoylos mishpachas Yochanan al shmai. Interesting, no? So. So Vayishkav Shmuel ad haboker, and Shmuel slept until the morning. Vayiftach his das his beis Hashem, and that was his job, I guess. He's because one of the jobs of Levium is to be shayarim. They're supposed to open and close gates. So he had, as a Levi, he opened the das of beis Hashem. Shmuel yorei mehaged es Hamara el Eli. He saw this, but he didn't want to tell Eli because he's an old man. He was at the canteen, right? Vayikra Eli as Shmuel, vayomer Shmuel b'ni, vayomer hineni, vayomer mo'ad davar an shediber elecha, al not techached mimeni. Don't hide it from me. I want to know what Hashem told you. Apparently he had a feeling already what he said, what he's going to say. Ko yaseh lecha alikim b'cha Yosef. That's sort of way being mashbiah somebody. Im techached mimeni davar mikol davar an shediber elecha. Don't you dare not tell me what the Rebbeinu Shalom told you. Vayaged le Shmuel es kol hadvarim lekichet mimenu. He didn't hide anything from him. Vayomer Hashem hu hatoiv be'enav yaseh. Eli said, "Okay, what can I do? Hashem should do whatever he wants to do." It's interesting that at this point he didn't even try to change his sons. He felt it was useless, and he sort of like resigned himself to whatever's going to happen. Vayigdal Shmuel, and Shmuel grew up. Vashem hoya imai, v'loy hipil mikol devarav arza. Whatever he said, you're seeing already that he's a regular navi, and everything that he says happens. Vayeda kol yisrael midan v'ad Beersheva, ki neman Shmuel navi l'Hashem. Everybody, all Yidden, all the way from Dan in the north, all the way to Beersheva in the south, knew that Shmuel was a navi. Vayosef Hashem lehei ro'oi b'shiloi. He appeared to him in Shiloi. Ki nigla Hashem el Shmuel b'shiloi b'dvar Hashem. And because Hashem appeared to Shmuel in Shiloi b'dvar Hashem. Now, look at the word Shiloi spelled two different ways in the same pasuk. It's interesting, right? I just want to go back for 1 second over here. It says, "Vayikra Hashem." We had in pasuk Dal, "Vayikra Hashem el Shmuel." And this was in the Heichal. This in the Heichal, right? And so it apparently the Rebbeinu Shalom is talking to Shmuel from the Heichal. We find that also by Moshe Rabbeinu there's that Asher Shama Roin Elikim Vayidaber Hashem Moshe Me'al Shtei Krum Vayidaber Elav. You find a similar type of a communication coming from the Heichal. We find that by Moshe, we find that by Shmuel. Again, this equivalence between the two of them. We'll stop over here. So next, where are we up to?
Perik Dalet.
Perik Dalet. Okay, fine, good.